Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, this is going to be a video that is predominantly for the hometown crowd or anybody else who lives in a state where you can acquire a suppressor lawfully, so long as it is properly registered with the federal government. Because as we know, with the ongoing battle with our Reconciliation Act, there is a distinct possibility that suppressors and possibly even short barrel rifles will be pulled from the purview of the NFA. Translation, you will not be required to register those items with the federal government anymore. Could that suddenly make suppressors overnight illegal in states where actually currently they are legal? That's possible, especially when you consider the politics of some of those states. So today, let me explain it all to you so that you can understand and maybe you can make some buying decisions based on that. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about what everyone in Washington needs to know about suppressors. Okay, America, Washington, and any other state who may have a law that says you can lawfully own a suppressor as long as it is properly registered as required by the NFA. Because as we know, with the Reconciliation Act that's currently being kicked around in DC, or what some people are calling the big beautiful bill, there is a distinct possibility that suppressors, and even to a slight degree short barrel rifles, could be pulled from the purview of the NFA. That will relieve purchasers of the $200 tax stamp. It also means that we will now govern those items through the use of a 4473 rather than a Form 4, and it also means that they will not be registered with the federal government anymore. Translations, they're not going to go on to the NFRTR. So what we have is this strange intersection between House Resolution 404 and statutes such as what Washington State has in RCW 9.41.250. House Resolution 404, also known as the Hearing Protection Act, is the bill right now which components of it are being incorporated into the Reconciliation Act. We're going to talk about one section because if you live in Washington or a state that has a similar legislative scheme, you absolutely positively need this one section to be added to the Reconciliation Act. If it is not, we may have big troubles. Now, to give you an idea of where the problem lies, take Washington's law, for example, RCW 9.41.250. Believe it or not, yes, you can lawfully own a suppressor in Washington State, at least for now. But the law specifically reads, every person who uses any contrivance or device for suppressing the noise of any firearm, unless the suppressor is legally registered and possessed in accordance with federal law, is guilty of a gross misdemeanor punishable under Chapter 9A.20 of the RCW. Okay. But then, if the Reconciliation Act goes through the way we hope for, the suppressor will no longer be registered with the federal government. And I can assure you that our Attorney General will be of the opinion that it is then absolutely impossible to comply with RCW 9.41250, and therefore the ability to acquire a suppressor legally will no longer exist in the state of Washington. The only way that this problem can be solved, and it is a simple solution, is right now the Hearing Protection Act has multiple sections, and Section 1 and 2 have been incorporated in the Reconciliation Act all along. However, Section 3, which is the most important section for us here in Washington and in similarly situated states, yeah, that's kind of come and gone. It currently sits inside the bill. And I'm telling all of you in Washington and other states that are in similar situations, you absolutely positively need Section 3 into the Reconciliation Act, because that section is the great workaround. It reads, a person acquiring or possessing a firearm silencer in accordance with Chapter 44 of Title 18 United States Code shall be treated as meeting any registration and licensing requirements of the National Firearms Act with respect to such silencer. Put in other terms, hey, if you acquired it according to the proper federal channels, that is, you went through your background check, you cleared it, and you got it, that will constitute any type of registration as contemplated by both federal law and therefore to be contemplated by state law as well. Now, for those of you around the country, you may not realize that there's already a fairly long list of states, none of them should come as a surprise to you at all, here they are, that absolutely positively ban suppressors in any way, shape, or form. And again, mark my word, Washington, Oregon, New Mexico, any other state that's clamoring to catch up in civilian disarmament. One of the first items of business next legislative session is going to be a complete and utter ban on suppressors. Is it constitutional? Of course it's not. Has it ever stopped your state legislature from doing it in the past? Of course it hasn't. So for all my good friends out here in the state of Washington, there could be a very short window of time post July 4th in which the Reconciliation Act is passed. Section 3 is part of it and therefore has gone into effect. And therefore you can accumulate a suppressor in Washington state merely by going through all the proper federal channels, which will no longer require a tax stamp or registration of the item. But that window of time is oh so short, because I can guarantee you the Liz Berries of the world and other gun grabbers in our state legislature are going to be clamoring to get a bill passed through the legislative process as fast as humanly possible next year, and it will have an emergency enactment clause that will go into effect the minute the governor signs it. So my advice is to very, very carefully watch what's going on with the Reconciliation Act, the big beautiful bill. Pay very careful attention to whether or not Section 3 is in there. And if it is, it's probably go time. It may be time to stock up. Okay, listen, I'm not going to be covering the day-by-day, minute-by-minute activities of what's going on in D.C. I don't have the patience or the stomach for it. Washington, if you guys want to know what's going on, check out Braden over at Langley Outdoor Academies. Check out Jared over at Guns and Gadgets. They've been doing a bang-up job of covering it minute by minute. If you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool. We want to hear about it by you clicking on that link and telling us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, the ability to do that's down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, America, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.